Hey folks, this is Riker, and yesterday, Path of Exile 2 devs have revealed the Mercenary, the newest class coming to the upcoming ARPG, and what we're going to do today now is watch this video together, get my live reactions. I did watch the first couple of minutes to get an idea of what's going on before I realized these guys are once again revolutionizing the ARPG genre, and we'll explain why. So let's just dive right into watching this Mercenary gameplay walkthrough.
There's not a job out there I won't take, so long as the pay's good and a crossbow can solve it.
Alright, so it's a crossbow. We saw a teaser of this, we covered it I believe last week. It seemed like it was a gun, but it's actually a crossbow, so they're not introducing firearms into PoE 2. But that's clearly lobbing a grenade. That looks like a shotgun blast. It's a gun. It's just not a gun, but it's a gun for all intents and purposes. All the different gunplay styles. That backpedaling. There's a shotgun blast.
I'll take them all down, one bolt at a time.
When thinking about each new class, we really try to think about how we can make combat feel different from all the others. For the Mercenary,
the movement that I'm seeing cannot possibly be click to move.
Difference is the crossbow. A crossbow is fundamentally different than a regular bow because it fires instantly instead of needing to be drawn back.
Well,
this means that you need immediate feedback. Clicking
maybe in the game, but not in real life. That's fine.
the fire button should make the character shoot instantly, just like in a shooter.
Just like in a shooter.
That, we realize that there are a lot of design lessons to learn from shooters, and so we fully embraced them.
They are bringing shooter gameplay to PoE, to the ARPG. To clarify, they're not the first to ever do this, but I think to blend it into an ARPG that isn't otherwise a shooter.
In Path of Exile 2, we have crossbows that work like sniper rifles, shotguns, and assault rifles.
Okay, what do we just see right there? So, again, we've had top-down shooters before. We've had ARPGs that function as top-down shooters, but what we've not had is this sort of, well, here's just one class in an otherwise traditional ARPG that is functioning like a top-down shooter. So he has this crossbow equipped, holding on to a bunch of other things. I'm sure they're going to walk through this.
Rifles. But in order to really get shooter-like gameplay, we wanted to go further.
They're seamlessly going between the different shooting styles. Here, let me raise my camera so that we can see the skills underneath. It seems to be different types of shots that are happening here.
In Path of Exile 2, we now support WASD movement. You can now walk around in any direction independent of aiming.
ASD movement. It's happening. I'm going to call it WASD as a shorthand from now on. Let's see if they have other details about that.
In fact, if this is your preferred method of gameplay, you can use it on any class, regardless of what weapon type you're using. You can change between click to move or WASD at any time.
Change at any time. Okay, so I know how people feel about WASD. I know that we are ARPG players, we like click to move, and it is only a small minority that want WASD. And I say this as someone who has never been a WASD advocate and has always been a click to move kind of person. For ranged gameplay, particularly gunplay, WASD is objectively a superior control scheme. The ability to independently, or for that matter, if you're using a controller, right? The ability to independently move and aim in two separate directions is objectively superior than the shenanigans that we have to do with a mouse, flicking the mouse back and forth to stutter step, to or block, whatever you might call it, whatever genre, because you see that in MOBAs as well, right? And I say this as someone who prefers ranged classes in ARPGs, who deals with that stutter step all the time, who's fairly decent at it. WASD is a superior control scheme for that. It makes it infinitely easier to aim, and it turns it from a skill shot into just basic functionality. But what's really important here is it's an option. You don't have to go with it. You will, because you're gonna suck otherwise, but it's an option. And I do wonder though, how easy of a toggle is it? Do we have to go into the game options, or can we bind it to a key? It would be really interesting if you can bind it to a key to swap between WASD or click to move.
You can only hold 2 crossbows at a time, but Path of Exile 2 is all about interesting combinations of abilities. And this is where
you can see his ammo going down here on the right. So it's literally a shooter. You have actual ammo, I guess, before you have to reload.
ammo skills come in.
Ammo skills, okay.
This is a burst shot crossbow, and right now I have armor-piercing ammo equipped, which is very
Armor-piercing
effective when
ammo.
facing a group of enemies, since it pierces right through them.
Bloody horrors!
But there are other ammos too.
Okay, he just reloaded. Now we have 115 there, it seems.
For a bigger single target, it might be a good idea to switch to
He just swapped. You see, yeah, that was the ammo type, I guess. He just swapped over to this skill down here.
Incendiary. The more projectiles hit the target, the stronger the ignite, so you'll want to get up nice, close and personal with this one. If you have a bunch of targets running at you, you might want to slow them down. In
gonna
this
swap
case,
to
you could
this
switch
one.
to
Yeah.
Permafrost Burst Shot. Shooting a bunch of smaller enemies at range will chill them, and potentially
Alright, so I guess in a lot of shooter games, typically you're swapping weapon. It seems like here you're swapping ammo type instead. Makes sense. It's an ARPG. The built-in game systems only allow you to have 2 weapons equipped at a time, so how do you resolve that in PoE 2? You do it with ammo types. Translate those into skills on your skill bar, basically. Everything is solved.
even freeze them in place. Once you have some frozen enemies though, you can switch back to armor piercing. Shooting a frozen enemy with armor piercing burst shot will explode the ice, doing a huge amount of damage to all nearby enemies. Another feature crossbows have is attachments.
Of course, it wouldn't
This
just
is
be
a grenade
ammo.
launcher. As you can see,
Grenade
when
launcher.
I equip it, it appears
Not a gun, guys. It's a crossbow. Has a grenade launcher. Don't worry about it. Explosive grenade launcher. Bouncing grenade.
on the underside of the crossbow.
Ah,
These
that's where you
attachments are
equip
just
it.
like skill
Okay.
gems, so you effectively get extra skill slots. And you can augment these with support gems, just like regular skills.
And so they bring in the skill gems. Okay, thematic.
Fire in the hole!
These grenades take a while to explode, so it's a good idea to pair them with some kind of crowd control, like Permafrost Burst Shot.
Okay. I'm gonna make a general note here as well. Something that I see people bring up about PoE 2 gameplay is how much slower it seems to be than PoE 1 gameplay. These are demos. If you go and look at like the Path of Exile 1 demo videos back in the day, the gameplay was slow as well, right? Like they need to actually show what the skills are doing. If they had a demo that was like an end game build in PoE 1 right now, it would just be an absolute clusterflux of things on screen and flashes and colors and things dying in an instant, and you wouldn't be able to parse anything that's happening. So I do believe that at end game PoE 2 gameplay will be faster than what you're seeing here. This is just to show off what is actually happening.
We have other grenades too, though. This attachment is a flash grenade.
Flash grenade
It does
stun.
barely any damage, but it does a huge amount of stun.
Alright.
It can be a great opener before you run into combat.
It's a nice way, like they're naturally working in things that you expect from shooters, using the mechanics already existing within PoE.
Surprise!
It's crazy how just natural this all feels.
Now, here's another attachment, an oil grenade.
Oil
Firing
grenade.
one of these grenades coats the ground and nearby enemies in oil.
And then you can set it on fire,
Oil
right?
slows enemies down, so it's another useful crowd control mechanic. Now, another thing that oil can do is be set on fire. Any burning enemy or explosion will ignite the oil, causing extra burning damage. One of the problems with burst shot crossbows is that each pellet doesn't do much damage individually. This means that if enemies have armor, then it will be very effective preventing that damage. But thankfully, you can equip an additional crossbow in your second weapon set to deal with the weaknesses of your primary weapon. This is a rapid shot crossbow. Rapid shot is great for
pierce
closing on
armor.
enemies because you can shoot while running. In Path of Exile 2, we now have the ability to allow you to use some skills while moving.
It's almost like this armor mechanic was even better suited for this shooter style gameplay, because the armor mechanic on enemies is just in the base game. It's something that, you know, I played a bunch of Path of Exile 2 at Gamescom. I got footage here. Do check out my interview with Chris and Jonathan. But yeah, all of a sudden now, armor-piercing rounds and everything, starting to make a lot more sense. Not that it didn't make sense, but within the context of a shooter game, it's almost like a given.
Being able to create skills like this opens up a lot of new design space and allows us to really increase the pace of combat.
Yeah, the weapon swap. There's like some Vermintide vibes now.
The armor-piercing version of Rapid Shot slowly erodes a monster's armor. Once the armor is fully broken,
I think I found my
you can easily
class,
switch
guys.
back to Burst Shot to deal much more damage.
This is it.
Being able to run while shooting with Rapid Shot is also great for when you want to perform a fighting retreat.
Oh yeah. The reload call out and everything.
Using permafrost ammo with Rapid Shot is also useful if you need to retreat. When you shoot the ground, it creates ice crystals. If you draw monsters back over these crystals, they explode, chilling the monsters.
Interesting.
It's great if you want to set up a safe zone before pulling the next pack.
Look at that. And because this is still within a fantasy game with magic, you could generally do even more creative and crazy things with the guns than if this were like just strictly either a sci-fi shooter or a modern kind of shooter.
Slowing enemies down can come in handy if you want to use the incendiary version of Rapid Shot. Using this skill requires that you charge up a little bit before it fires, but as it continues to heat up, it will do more and more damage.
Oh, it's actually on fire.
It has a really large clip size, so you can just keep firing and firing with it. But the other really useful feature is that when the crossbow is heated up, it adds extra fire damage to any grenade that you launch.
Oh. Yeah, that visual indicator on the gun to see how hot it is. That's crazy. Sorry, on the crossbow. Okay.
Now I've been using explosive grenades here, but it will work equally as well with flash or oil grenades too. If you use it with oil grenades, the oil will catch fire immediately.
Okay. And what about the flash grenade? It makes it flash more? Longer stun? Bigger radius? That's just so cool. The Mad Lads have done it again.
Another crossbow type that you can find is Power Shot. This one works just like a classic sniper rifle. Use it with armor-piercing ammo and it will penetrate armor on targets. So it's a good idea to use when something's really tough.
Back down or die!
Now this
Big
skill has another
railgun.
interesting interaction with armor break. If an enemy has its armor broken, then your Power Shot hits a weak spot and does a huge amount of single target damage, with a bunch of extra stun for good measure.
Bullseye!
Now, the incendiary version of Power Shot is more like a rocket launcher. It does a big explosive blast at a distance.
Oh, nice. Good AoE at range. A little mushroom cloud.
One of the really useful features of this version is
I hope they show a boss fight. It's gonna be so satisfying to circle strafe around a boss. Oh my gosh. I'm flashing back to playing as the freaking warrior and just getting my butt handed to me against that boss that I was fighting against. It's gonna feel so good with the incredible mobility and ability to shoot and move at the same time. I can't wait.
that you can explode any grenades that happen to be on the ground.
Grenades that happen to be on the ground? Oh, to make them detonate prematurely. Right. Cool. I like that combo.
This combo also works really well with Incendiary Rapid Shot. I'm going to charge up the heat on my crossbow, shoot out a bunch of grenades, and then start the fireworks with a Power Shot. Ice version of Power Shot creates frost walls at a distance. This is great for crowd controlling monsters in tight passages.
So the only thing that actually comes to mind right now is if PoE 2 gameplay does eventually become as fast as PoE 1 gameplay, how is this gonna work? I don't know that WASD makes sense in a pace of game where you are effectively spending 0.5 seconds on a screen before moving on. But maybe that's a problem that'll never happen. I don't know.
The wall segments have other uses too. If they get destroyed by monsters, then they will explode, doing a small amount of damage.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
Other uses too.
You're summoning walls.
This is great for crowd controlling monsters in tight passages.
That's amazing. You're creating your own choke points? Oh my gosh.
Have other uses too. If they get destroyed by monsters, then they will explode, doing a small amount of damage.
Yeah, no, just the... Oh my gosh. May Ice Wall here? That's amazing. Just the sheer CC of being able to create a wall.
Now, remember that burst shot combo with
We're like
frozen enemies
Bone
we did
Spear
earlier?
D2
That
Necros
works with
now.
ice walls too. Let's put burst shot back on. Now I can fill up this area with ice walls, then shoot them with armor-piercing burst shot for a huge amount of damage.
Oh my gosh, the CC potential. Just wall off the whole zone. Oh my gosh. Now I'm thinking about when I was playing as the Hunter, or the Huntress, which was my favorite class. There was a time when I was getting overwhelmed by a swarm of enemies. Now I can just wall them off. That's amazing. Let them trickle in. Oh my gosh, this is the best class ever. Look at that. That's insane. Wait, is he... You can walk through your own ice wall?
It's time to face the boss.
I mean,
of
you
this
break
area.
it, but still.
Let's see how we fare against her with all the skills I've shown you so far.
Just instantly delete the boss. No. That's like a... Oh my gosh. That's like a Silent Hill monster. Oh, wait. We need... Hold on. Have we seen him do a dodge yet? I want to see him do a combat roll.
No, 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 no.
Oh, jeez. Oh, it's split into two. Oh my gosh. No, don't back yourself in the corner. Use the wall. Use the wall. Wall that little thing off. Keep baby in the corner. Oh my gosh, that's a lot of damage. There you go. Is it gonna break through? I imagine, yeah, so the boss breaks through the wall. That's to be expected. But with the baby. Lining them both up to hit with that piercing shot. Really nice. I noticed I'm not seeing a combat roll, ever. Unless I missed it. I don't think I saw a single roll. I don't know if that is just a choice or if this class doesn't have access to that. No, wait, was that a dodge? Hold on. I think that was... Was it... It looked like... I don't know if it turned into an actual roll, but I guess it was the dodge, which is functionally the same. Oh, yeah, okay, he's rolling. Never mind, he's rolling. Okay. Okay. He's not popping his potions, I think just for demo purposes. Is it slowing her down at all? It doesn't seem to be, no. Ice Wall, no effect on boss, which is good. You don't want to just cheese the boss with Ice Wall. But you can cheese the... well, it's not cheesing them. You can block off the ads. That was cool. Oh wait, is this a part 2 coming?
That's the Mercenary.
Alright.
It feels totally different than anything we've made before.
True.
And shows you the range of what's possible in Path of Exile 2.
Beautiful. Very hyped for that. My new favorite class. I haven't even played it yet. Very excited for it. That is so cool. Again, while it is not a new or novel idea to have WASD in an ARPG, it is not a new or novel idea to have a top-down shooter, to have a top-down shooter class in an otherwise classic ARPG. with the option to toggle to WASD, and it's a class designed, like I don't see how you run this class without WASD. I'm sure some people will do it just out of preference, but I cannot imagine you being nearly as effective without using WASD. Whereas for other classes, you'll probably want to stick with classic click to move, because the downside of WASD, for instance, is you could only, when you're moving, you only have certain axes to work with. The true solution here is gamepad, to be honest, but the fact that they have WASD, honestly, if they've not already announced controller support, 100% they can have controller support now. And I still would prefer WASD and aiming with a mouse, simply because 100% aiming with a mouse is a superior control scheme to aiming with a thumbstick. You just have more fine control. However, moving with a controller is superior, superior to moving with WASD. Why? With WASD, you only have 8 degrees, 8 angles of movement. Up, down, left, right, and then at the 45 degrees. If you're holding 2 at the same time. Whereas with the controller or with click to move, you have a full 360 degree of rotation. Particularly in like melee combat, that might be more meaningful. So I don't think with any class other than the mercenary, I will go WASD. Overall, very hyped for this, but I turn the question to you folks. What do you think? Sound off in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Special thanks to my Twitch, Patreon, and YouTube supporters for making these videos possible. If you enjoyed this video, please share it. Check out these other videos, and subscribe to join Rikers Raiders for more ARPG content.